Hi guys, welcome to my Study Compass. In this video, I'll be walking you through the past paper, Math B2, Variant 1, May-June 2019. Let's get started. Work out $1.2 as a percentage of $16. A general rule of thumb to help you set up this percentage is to always put the number after the of as the denominator. So in this case, we have $16 placed after of, and so that will be our denominator in setting up the percentage. And so we have $1.20 divided by $16 times 100%. And when we type this into the calculator, we get a final answer of 7.5%. Factorize 5y minus 6py. So the common factor here is y. And when we factor that out, we are left with 5 minus 6p. And so our final answer is y into brackets 5 minus 6p. Calculate the cube root of 8.1 squared minus 1.3 raised to the power 0.8. So when we type this into the calculator, this is the value that we get. And so then we round it off to 3 significant figures, and that gives us a final answer of 4.01. An equilateral triangle has sides of length 15 centimeters correct to the nearest millimeter. Calculate the upper bound of the perimeter of this triangle. Since we are correcting the length to the nearest centimeter, we write down our equation as length is equal to 15 centimeters plus and minus 1 centimeter divided by 2. So since we are dealing with the upper bound, we ignore the negative sign and go ahead with 15 plus 1 over 2 centimeters, and that gives us the upper bound of the length as 15.5 centimeters. Since this is an equilateral triangle, the upper bound of the perimeter will be 3 times the upper bound of the length, which is 15.5 centimeters. And when we type this into the calculator, we get a final value of 46.5 centimeters. The volume of a cuboid is 180 centimeters cubed. The base is a square of side length 6 centimeters. Calculate the height of this cuboid. So to find the volume of a cuboid, we know the formula as length times width times height. Since we are finding the height of the cuboid, we make the height the subject of the formula, and that gives us the volume divided by the length times width. So we slot in the values given in the question, and we have a final answer of the height as 5 centimeters. Simplify t raised to the power 21 divided by t raised to the power 7. Since they have the same base t and they are dividing, we subtract their powers, and so we have t raised to the power 21 minus 7, and that leaves us with a final answer of t raised to the power 14. Simplify u raised to the power 5, all raised to the power 5. And so by applying one of the rules of indices, we multiply the powers of u, and that gives us u raised to the power 5 times 5, and that gives us a final answer of u raised to the power 25. The diagram shows a right-angled triangle. Calculate the value of x. So we have a right-angled triangle and we are asked to find the value of x. So we apply SOHCAHTOA in this case, and we have sine 35 degrees equals x over 12 centimeters. And when we make x the subject of the formula, we get 12 sine 35 degrees centimeters. And by typing this into the calculator, we get 6.88 centimeters correct to 3 significant figures. A, B, and C are points on the circle center O. Find the obtuse angle AOC. Let's take a look at the diagram. We've been given angle ABC as 130 degrees, and from circle theorems, since we've been given ABC as 130 degrees, the opposite angle AOC will be 2 times 130 degrees, and so that gives us 260 degrees. 260 degrees is not an obtuse angle. To find the obtuse angle at AOC, we will subtract 260 degrees from 360 degrees, and we get a final answer of 100 degrees. Write the recurring decimal 0.47 as a fraction. Show all your working. So let's call the recurring decimal 0.4777x. Now let's multiply x by 10 and we get 4.7777. Let's multiply x by 100 and we get 47.7777. So since 10x and 100x have a similar pattern of numbers after the decimal point, we will carry them on to the next step. And so we have 100x minus 10x equals 47.777 minus 4.777. The recurring decimals cancel out and we have 90x equals 43. When we make x the subject, we have 43 over 90. F of x equals 2x plus 3. Find f of 1 minus x in its simplest form. So to find f of 1 minus x, wherever we see x in f of x, we are going to take that out and replace it with 1 minus x. And so that gives us 2 into bracket 1 minus x plus 3. When we expand the brackets, 2 multiplies 1 to give us 2. 2 multiplies negative x to get negative 2x plus 3. And when we further simplify this, we get 5 minus 2x as our final answer. The diagram shows 5 cards. 2 of the cards are taken at random without replacement. Find the probability that both cards show an even number. So the probability that an even card is chosen in the first pick is the number of even cards available divided by the total number of cards, and that is 2 over 5. The first card is picked without replacement, so the probability that an even card is chosen in the second pick is equal to 1 over 4. And when we type this into the calculator, we get the final probability as 1 over 10. From the list of numbers, write down a multiple of 7. So 28 is a multiple of 7. Write down a cube number, and that is 27. Write down a prime number, and that will be 29. X squared plus 4x minus 9 equals x plus a all squared plus b. Find the value of a and the value of b. So in the statement, we are being told that x squared plus 4x minus 9 is equal to x plus a all squared plus b. So in order to find a and b, we can either rewrite x squared plus 4x minus 9 in the form x plus a squared plus b so that we can compare and find the values of a and b. Another way to go about this is also to expand x plus a all squared plus b to look like x squared plus 4x minus 9 so that we can compare and find the values of a and b. So when we expand x plus a all squared plus b, we have x squared plus 2ax plus a squared plus b. So when we compare both sides of the equation, we can see that 2a is equal to 4, and that gives us the value of a as 2. We can also see that a squared plus b is equal to negative 9, and now that we know the value of a, that will now give us 2 squared plus b equals negative 9, and that simplifies to give us the value of b as negative 13. Without using a calculator, work out 5 over 6 plus 2 over 3. You must show all your working and give your answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. So the LCM of 6 and 3 is 6, and 6 goes into 6 one time. So 1 times the numerator, which is 5, gives us 5. 3 goes into 6 twice, and we multiply that by the numerator, which is 2. So we get 4. 5 plus 4 equals 9, divided by the denominator, which is 6. This simplifies to give us 3 over 2. That gives us one whole number, 1 over 2. Expand and simplify. X plus 1 times x plus 2 plus 2x times x minus 3. So let's expand the brackets. X times x gives us x squared. X times 2 gives us 2x. 1 times x gives us x, and 1 times 2 gives us 2. 2x times x gives us 2x squared, and 2x times minus 3 gives us minus 6x. So when we simplify this, x squared plus 2x squared gives us 3x squared. 2x plus x minus 6x gives us minus 3x, and we have plus 2. So our final answer is 3x squared minus 3x plus 2. Y is inversely proportional to the square root of x plus 1. When x equals 8, y equals 2. Find y when x equals 99. In mathematical terms, let's rewrite y is inversely proportional to the square root of x plus 1. So this means that y is equal to a constant, which we will call k, times 1 over square root of x plus 1. So now let's find the value of k, and we can do that by slotting in the values of x and y given in the question. So when x equals 8, y equals 2. And that gives us 2 is equal to k over 3, and this simplifies as k is equal to 2 times 3, which is k equals 6. So now we have y equals 6 over square root of x plus 1. So now when x equals 99, we put that into the equation and we get y equals 6 over square root of 99 plus 1. And when we type this into the calculator, we get y equals 0.6. Factorize p squared minus q squared. And so this is a difference of two squares, and by applying the factorization technique for a difference of two squares, we end up having p plus q times p minus q. P squared minus q squared equals 7, and p minus q equals 2. Find the value of p plus q. In our previous answer, we simplified p squared minus q squared as p plus q times p minus q. And so in this case, we will rewrite p squared minus q squared equals 7 as p plus q times p minus q equals 7. And we've been given the value of p minus q as 2. And so when we slot that value into our equation, we have p plus q equals 3.5. Simplify 81y raised to the power 16, all raised to the power 3 over 4. And so by applying the rules of indices, we can rewrite this as 81 all raised to the power 3 over 4 times y raised to the power 16 all raised to the power 4. So when we type 81 raised to the power 3 over 4 on our calculator, we get 27. And when the powers of 16 and 3 over 4 are multiplied, we have 12. And so our final answer becomes 27 y raised to the power 12. 2 raised to the power 3 is equal to 4 raised to the power p. Find the value of p. So to find the value of p, we are going to try to rewrite 4 raised to the power p to a base of 2 so that we can compare both sides of the equation. So to rewrite 4 raised to the power p as a base of 2, we have 2 raised to the power 3 equals 2 raised to the power 2 all raised to the power p. And this simplifies as 2 cubed equals 2 raised to the power 2p. Since the bases are equal, 3 is equal to 2p, and that gives us p equals 3 over 2 or 1.5. A model of a car has a scale 1:20. The volume of the actual car is 12 meters cubed. Find the volume of the model. Give your answer in cubic centimeters. So from the question, we've been given the linear scale factor as 1:20, and we've been given the volume of the actual car as 12 meters cubed. Since we are dealing with volume, we need to also find the volume scale factor, and we can do this by cubing the linear scale factor. So we now have 1 cubed is to 20 cubed. When we set up our ratio, we get x divided by 1 cubed equals 12 meters cubed divided by 20 cubed. When we make x the subject of the equation, we get 12 divided by 20 cubed times 1 cubed meter cubed. And when we type this into the calculator, we get 0.0015 meter cubed. We are told to leave our answer in cubic centimeters. And so after setting up our conversion ratio, we have 0.0015 meter cubed divided by 1 meter cubed times 10 raised to the power 6 centimeters cubed. And when we type this into the calculator, we get the volume of the model as 1500 centimeters cubed. Write as a single fraction in its simplest form, 1 over x plus 2 minus 2 divided by 3x minus 1. So we get the LCM by multiplying the two denominators, and that will be x plus 2 times 3x minus 1. X plus 2 goes into the LCM and we are left with 3x minus 1, which multiplies the numerator, which is 1. 3x minus 1 goes into the LCM and we are left with x plus 2, which goes to multiply the numerator, which is 2. When we expand the brackets, we have 3x minus 1 minus 2x minus 4, and we can go ahead to further simplify the numerator, and that gives us 3x minus 2x, which is x, and minus 1 minus 4, which is minus 5, and that leaves us with a final answer of x minus 5 divided by x plus 2 times 3x minus 1. The diagram shows a pyramid with a square base ABCD of side length 8 cm. The diagonals of the square AC and BD intersect at M. V is vertically above M and VM is equal to 10 cm. Calculate the angle between VA and the base. On the diagram given, we have labeled the angle between VA and the base as alpha, and to find alpha we can use SOHCAHTOA. And so for this case, tan alpha is equal to VM divided by AM. We've been given VM directly, and that is 10 centimeters. We've not been given the value of AM directly in the question, but we can easily find that AM is equal to half AC, and we can find the length of AC using Pythagoras theorem. And so we have AC squared is equal to AB squared plus BC squared. When we slot in the values of these lengths, we have AC is equal to the square root of 8 squared plus 8 squared centimeters, and that gives us square root of 128 centimeters. Remember that we are interested in finding AM, and so AM is equal to the square root of 128 divided by 2 centimeters. So let's place the values back into the original equation to find alpha. So we have alpha is equal to tan inverse of 10 divided by square root 128 divided by 2. When we type this into the calculator, we get alpha as 60.5 degrees, correct to 1 decimal place. These are the first 4 terms of a sequence. Write down the next term. So when we look at the sequence, we can see that the terms have a common difference of 3. And so to find the next term, we add 3 to 14, and that gives us 17. Find an expression in terms of n for the nth term. So since we are dealing with a sequence that has a common difference, we can use this formula to find the nth term. A1 represents the first term of the sequence, and in this case, A1 is equal to 5. D represents the common difference of the sequence, and in this case, D equals 3. And so when we slot these into the equation, we now have AN is equal to 5 plus n minus 1 times 3. So we simplify this by expanding the brackets, and we have 5 plus 3n minus 3. This can further be simplified to give us our final answer of 3n plus 2, where n is any given position in the sequence. These are the first 5 terms of another sequence. Find the next term. So when we look closely at this sequence, we can see that the numerators are increasing by a uniform pace. And when we look at the denominators of the fractions, we can see that they are increasing by a constant value. And so that gives us 21 plus 10, which is 31, and 10 plus 2, which is 12. And so we get our next term as 31 over 12. P equals 3214. Find P squared. P squared is equal to P times P, and using matrix multiplication, so 3 times 3 plus 1 times 2 gives us 11. 3 times 1 plus 1 times 4 gives us 7. 2 times 3 plus 4 times 2 gives us 14, and 2 times 1 plus 4 times 4 gives us 18. So we have our final answer of P squared as 11, 14, 7, 18. Find P inverse. So to find the inverse of the matrix P, we first of all need to find the determinants of the matrix P. Then we also need to swap the positions of the values in the major diagonal of the matrix and negate the values in the opposite diagonal of the matrix. And by doing that, we get 4, -2, -1, 3. To find the determinant of the matrix P, that is 4 times 3 minus 2 times 1, and that is equal to 10. So P inverse equals 1/10 times 4, -2, -1, 3. The diagram shows information about the final 70 seconds of a car journey. Find the deceleration of the car between 60 and 70 seconds. So deceleration and acceleration are basically the same things. The only difference is when a car is decelerating, its speed is decreasing, and when a car is accelerating, its speed is increasing. So we can use the same formula we use to find acceleration to also find the deceleration of the car. So to find the deceleration, that will be equal to the change in speed of the car divided by the time taken. And so that gives us 20 minus 0 meters per second divided by 70 minus 60 seconds. And when we type this into the calculator, we get 2 meters per second squared. Find the distance traveled by the car during the 70 seconds. So let's find the area under the graph. So to do this, let's split the area under the graph into a rectangle A1 and a triangle A2. So to find the area of the rectangle, we multiply its length times its width, and that gives us 60 times 20 meters. And for the triangle, we have half of the base, which is 70 minus 60, giving us 10 times the height, which is 20. So when we further simplify this and type this into the calculator, we get a final total distance traveled of 1,300 meters. OABC is a parallelogram and O is the origin. CK equals 2KB and AL equals LB. M is the midpoint of KL. OA equals P and OC equals Q. Find in terms of P and Q, given your answer in its simplest form, KL. So KL equals KB plus BL. We can rewrite KB as 1/3 CB, and we can rewrite BL as half BA. So CB equals P and BA equals -Q. When we simplify this, we get KL equals 1/3 P minus half Q. Find the position vector of M. So OM equals OA plus AL plus LM. We can rewrite LM as half LK. OA equals P, AL equals half Q. So LK will be -1/3 P plus half Q. When we simplify this, we get OM as 5/6 P plus 3/4 Q. Line L passes through the points 0, -3 and 6, 9. Find the equation of line L. So to find the equation of any line, we know that we can write it in the form y equals mx plus c. So now our job is to find the values of m and c and slot it into the equation y equals mx plus c. So to find the slope, that is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. When we slot in the given coordinates, we get 9 minus -3 divided by 6 minus 0. And when we type this into the calculator, we get m equals 2. So we now have y equals 2x plus c. So by slotting in one set of coordinates, in this case I'm using 6, 9, we now get 9 equals 2 times 6 plus c. And this gives us the value of c as 3. So the final equation of line L is y equals 2x plus 3. Find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to line L and passes through the point 0, 2. We can write the equation of the line in the form y equals mx plus c. In this case, I've represented the slope of the perpendicular line as m2. So since we know that the equation of the line we are finding is perpendicular to line L, it means that the slope of line L and the slope of the perpendicular line is equal to -1. And we know the slope of line L as 2. And so that gives us the slope of the perpendicular line as -1/2. So we now have y equals -1/2x plus c. So to find the value of c, we'll slot in the values of the coordinates through which the perpendicular line passes. So that gives us 2 equals -half times 0 plus c. And so we get the value of c as 2. So now the equation of the perpendicular line is y equals -half x plus 2. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. See you in the next video. Bye guys.